This video is going to be about 11.1, which is about cross-section and rotation. A cross-section is the shape of a solid in 3D space made with a plane. You can think of it as cross-section as a very thin slice of the solid, and the cross-section is going to be 2D. So what this means is that basically, if you have a 3D figure like this, now if you go ahead and slice a piece of it out through this plane here, then that slice that you made here, that part that right here is going to be a cross section. And in this case here, it's going to be 2D because it's a very, very thin slice. Now in this first example here, we have a cylinder. If we go ahead and slice, horizontally like this, you will see that the cross section right here is going to be a circle. In this example right here, if you go ahead and put a slice through this rectangular pyramid, your slice is going to be a rectangle. Now let's take a look at a few more that's not this straightforward, okay? Now, example 1 here, we're going to use cross-section. We're going to find a cross-section made with the given plane. Now, if you look at picture A here, we're going to figure out the cross-section when our cylinder is laid down and when our plane is literally horizontal. So to have a better visual look at this, let's go to a website. Now, this website is going to be called cross-section flyer, and it's from this website called Shordor. So let's first take a look at the cylinder that we have. Now for the cylinder we have, let me make it into a similar shape that we have. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. So the cylinder we have kind of looks like, this right here, right? The cylinder we have is being cut kind of through like this. Now if you go ahead and cut through it, that piece that you will get from your cross section is going to look like a rectangle, and that's the picture on the right. So my answer on first one is going to be a rectangle. Now let's take a look at the second one, part B. Now if we have a cone and we're going to slice it right through the middle of the cone, what will it look like? Well, let's take a look. Well, if we have a cone, let me click on the cone. Let me move it. Now if you take a look at it, this is the exact same slice that we have on our example over there. Well, we slice it right through the middle of the cone. And if you look at that right here, my shape right here is actually going to be a triangle. So my answer for this one will be a triangle. Let's take a look at the next one, question C. Now in this case, we have a cylinder, but this time we're slicing it a little bit differently. It's being sliced horizontal, but it's slightly tilted. So let's look at what this will look like. Now let me switch this to a cylinder. Okay, let me go ahead and move it. So we have it slightly tilted, so it's like this, okay? So this means, if you look at the shape right here, this is not a circle, it's more like a cylinder. More like an oval. So my answer right here for this question of what type of shape I'll get will be an oval. Now for the next one here, this one we don't have a picture, so you have to kind of imagine in your head. So imagine like this donut-like shape. This is a donut-looking like shape. So you kind of imagine if you have a donut and you slice it horizontally, what would the slice that you get look like? Well, it will look like a piece that's like this. It'll be like a donut shape. But except in this case, it's going to be 2D. Now let's take an example 2. The figure shows the right circular cone. Which of the following is not a planar cross-section of the cone? Well, we know A here is definitely one of the cross-sections because we have done it right here. Now let's look at if other ones are actually the correct answers, okay? So let's look at B, okay? So if I take my cone, now if I kind of move it, if I go ahead and move it, if I go ahead and move it down like this, can you guys see how I kind of got the same shape that I have right here with part B? So this means this is a possible cross-section. So I'm going to cross it out. Now let's see if we can get a circle. Well, if I have my cone here, let me go ahead and move it. Can you guys see how now if I slice it like this, how I have a circle as my cross-section? So C will work. So this means we cross it out because we're looking for the one that's not going to work. Now let's look at question D. Now to do question D here, let's take a look if we're able to possibly make this shape, okay? Now as you can see here, if I go ahead and tilt it, my slice, even though I can tilt it a lot, but as much as I can tilt it, it's going to make an oval. It's not going to make the shape that we have that we're seeing in this picture right here. So this is the shape that we cannot make from cross-section of this cone. So that's it for this question. Now let's move on to the next one, question B. Now for question B here, we're going to select all the following that could give a rectangular cross section. Let's take a look at the cone first. So we have, cylinder first. If we have a cylinder right here, now if we go ahead and slice it like this, you realize that if our, rectangle is a little bit smaller, then this will look like a rectangle. So therefore, for a cone, this will be a possible answer. So let me go ahead and circle it. Now let's check about a sphere. Now let's see. We can have a sphere here. Actually, this website does not have a sphere, but if you kind of imagine in your head, if you have a ball, no matter how you cut the ball, you will not see a rectangle shape for cutting it. So therefore, this will not be it. Next one, a rectangular prism. Well, a rectangular prism, even just slicing it at the front, will give you a rectangle. So that will work. Now let's take a look at this one right here. Now this one, we also don't have it on the website, but if you kind of imagine it, this right here is a it's a triangular prism, which means if you slice any of these sides right here, it will make a rectangle. So therefore, this is an answer as well. Now let's take a look at the cone. Now if we take a look at the cone here, you realize that no matter how much you move it around, no matter how you move it, you will not see a rectangular shape. It will all be circular or half a circle or oval. It will not create a rectangle. So therefore, this will not work. Okay. Now let's move on to creating solids by rotation. Now in question 3 here, you kind of imagine in your head, okay? So you're going to name this 3D shape that will be created by rotating the given 2D figure around the axis. Now if you go ahead and rotate this shape around this axis, if you go ahead and keep on rotating the shape around the axis, the shape that you created here will be a cylinder. Okay. On the next one, for question B, if you go ahead and rotate this half circle around this axis right here, if you continue to rotate it, it will create a sphere. Okay. Now let's move to example 4. We're going to describe the 2D figure and the axis of rotation that will result in a real-world figure when the 2D shape is rotated around the axis of rotation. Now, what we want to create is an 8-foot tall revolving door with a radius of 3 feet. Now, in order to get something like this in the actual world with a 2D shape, I'm going to first draw out a rectangle because I know right here, this is actually a cylinder shape, right? So I know to create a cylinder shape, I can use a rectangle figure, just like how I did on the previous question. And I'm going to just rotate it around this axis of symmetry. Let me put in a different color. I'm going to rotate around this axis right here. This is going to be axis of symmetry. I'm going to rotate as long as I rotate along with this axis, and if I keep on rotating it, it will end up creating a cylinder. Now, since the question mentioning here that I want to be 8 foot tall, so my rectangle must be 8 foot tall. And since it has a radius 3, this right here must also be 3 feet as well. Now let's go on to the next question. Now this question, it says we are trying to create an ice cream cone with a diameter of 3, and we're trying to with a diameter 3 and a height of 10. Now in order to create this shape, I'm going to first draw my axis of symmetry. Now I'm going to say that since it's a cone, I'm expecting that if I go ahead and rotate, if I just take half of this shape, and then if I kind of rotate it around, it will end up creating a cone. So let me go ahead and first draw it on the right. Yes. I'm going to draw a shape that's more like half a triangle. Now, if I go ahead and rotate this, it will create a cone shape. Okay? Now, in order for it to be diameter of 8, then this means my radius, or half of this, which is half of the picture that I have right here, this part right here must be 4. And for it to be having the height of 10, then this means right here, this part from here to here must be 10. And that's all the lesson we have.